Welcome everybody to a look at the first film in the Sean Connery six-film collection box set. That is all on 4K, and it is 1962's Doctor No. So this is directed by Terence Young, who did two more Bond films, as well as Wait Until Dark, Red Sun, and Zarak. And it's a spy film, clocking in at 109 minutes long, had a budget of only $1.1 million, which was quite frankly not all that much for 1962, but had a box office return of eventually around 59.5 million. I say eventually because it did have a few re-releases to coincide with future Bond films, as well as the fact that there was no Bond filmed at all in 1966. So it was putting a stopgap there with the likes of Thunderball. And yeah, stars Sean Connery, of course, who I've seen at least 38 other films, was in five more official Bond films, as well as one unofficial one that wasn't produced by Eon. But he'd also gone outside of the series to be in the best of the Indiana Jones films, The Last Crusade, as well as The Untouchables, The Hunt for Red October, The Name of the Rose, The Hill, The Offence. The Offence being made as a an agreement for him to re-star in the James Bond role in Diamonds Are Forever, as well as Robin and Marion and the Molly Maguires. Also has Ursula Andress, who was also in Red Sun, as well as the 1981 version of Clash of the Titans. And he'd have series regulars like Bernard Lee, who would be in 10 more of these films, as well as Lois Maxwell, who would be in 13 more. So, yeah, both of those in more films than any actor who's been in the James Bond role has been in. And yeah, so Agent 007 battles mysterious Dr. No, a scientific genius bent on destroying the US space program. As the countdown to disaster begins, Bond must go to Jamaica, where he encounters beautiful Honey Rider to confront a megalomaniacal villain in his massive island headquarters. So, yeah, this is a brilliant start to this series, quite frankly. And although some elements to this don't hold up 6 decades later, while it definitely feels like a film that is trying to find its feet about what it's going to be like as a series, it is nonetheless an entertaining spy film thanks to the superb performance by Sean Connery, a good supporting cast, decent action, a score that still sounds great today, and obviously has, lasted all of those decades, although in different kind of forms. An engaging plot despite being somewhat basic, it is well paced, the cinematography is effective, Jamaica as a location is well used, and the introduction to Sean Connery's Bond is legendary. Yeah, it's one of probably the better introductions to a James Bond, a new actor as James Bond. To be honest, I'd say Lazenby's introduction as well as James Bond in On Her Majesty's Service is also pretty damn great. But I'd say they're two are the better of the 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever it's been now. So yeah, but overall, brilliant film, and yeah, one that I do give 5 out of 5. Like I said, there are issues with it that haven't aged particularly well, like the way that they shoot the car chase, for instance, which has the rear projection. So Connery's in a car, but he's not really driving. So there is that, and yeah, there is some editing issues here and there, and there's also the music in the during the credit sequence, which doesn't feel like there's enough of it to justify the full length of the credits, because you have the iconic James Bond theme, but it doesn't last any longer really than 2 minutes, and the credits are a lot longer than that. So it's a little bit jarring in that regard. But yeah, on the whole, other elements have obviously aged well and been carried forward in the series. The gun barrel sequence, the fact that there is a musical number over the credits, which would obviously get more and more lavish as time would go on. Then you'd obviously have the usual Bond girl that would be in this, the villain with a an impressive lair, all those kind of things really. The Walter PPK being used as his main gun. Obviously, the next film would introduce more elements, and so would Goldfinger after that. That would continue on to live in the series. But yeah, this did set a lot of the foundation work for what has gone on for 24 more films, and yeah, lasted so long and been quite frankly the backbone of the British film industry, because this series alone has made more than 5 billion overall, which yeah is sizable, and you really can't really underestimate the impact that this film had. And it is kind of weird to think that would this series have gone on had a different actor been in the role, had the film been released a year after this, or a year before, maybe 62 was the perfect year for this to be released and such. So yeah, it's really interesting to think about that kind of stuff. But the film as itself is excellent. I really do like the rear artwork on this steelbook as well, and I like the artwork alone in general. To be honest, no, it's not flashy. No, it's not new in a lot of ways, because it is technically just an image from the film with some credits and the name over the top. But on the whole, I do kind of like the way that they've been done. And yeah, as I shown in my unboxing, you got the discs and such. Now, I do believe that the extras on these aren't anything new. I have heard that they are from the older Blu-ray box set that came out a good few years ago. So I haven't gone through them myself, just because, like I said, they don't look like anything new or anything that's going to provide any more insight into the film. But I will watch them at some point. And when it comes to my the final film in this box set that we'll look at, I will go through all of the extras per each film. But these reviews are just about the film itself, as well as the fact that it is obviously on 4K. Now, the 4K itself looks superb. I really have no issues, or at least no major issues with it. I've heard some people have certain issues with the film grain maybe being a bit overdone, or some of the darker elements to it aren't the best. There is one element that they can't really help, and that is the fact that there is some day for night shots in this film that don't look great, but then they never have looked great, because day for night shots typically don't look great anyway. So there's nothing they really can do that with that. To be honest, that's just a consequence of the way the film was shot back in 1962. So yeah, no issues with that at all. But the film itself does look excellent. I have no major issues with the way it looks, and yeah, definitely looks best that it's ever looked as far as I'm concerned. I do believe that this might well be the 4K that I saw back in 2022, when all 25 films were released into UK cinemas, one per week. And yeah, it does look very similar to that release that I saw back in 2022. So yeah, I do believe it's that we are seeing, or are seeing, with this release. And yeah, it looks great, sounds superb as well. I did watch it with the remastered audio. I know there is the mono audio on there as well, but for the longest time, all I've ever had is the mono audio, be it on the Blu-ray, DVDs, or on television reshowings. That's all we've ever had. So I did delve into the remastered audio, and again, it sounds really, really good. Certain elements have sounded better than they've ever done before, and yeah, no issues at all in terms of the sound quality. Certainly helps liven up the action scenes as well, with the explosions. Now, granted, there's not that many in this film. There's only really 2, 3 that are in this. Main favourite one being the funeral car going over the edge of the cliff, because that still looks spectacular, especially with the camera being right in front of it. But still, yeah, it's not an action heavy film, and so it will be interesting to see what the future installments are going to sound like with their remastered audio, because yeah, the action does obviously get bigger and more impressive and such. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what the rest of the films are going to be like. But for this film, yeah, excellent effort overall, really, really enjoyable. And yeah, really glad to finally revisit the film after 3 years since my last viewing. And yeah, I did leave it a few years just purely because that I hoped that a 4K release would come out of these older films, but also because I did see them in the cinema for the first time, and that in of itself was more than enough to see me through until now. So yeah, but these 4K releases are more than enough for a reason to revisit these films that I've seen numerous times, and hopefully we'll see numerous more times in the future. So yeah, and now that we have what is, I feel like, the ultimate version of this film so far, plenty of reasons to go back and see it again without having any poor Blu-rays or bad sound qualities to deal with. So yeah, but nonetheless, if you have seen this film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next one, when James Bond returns in From Russia with Love. And yeah, I'll see you then. Bye.